Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This video is going to be a little bit trigger for me because I fancy having a meeting face to face with Mr. Kunt-JimBob. I just gave him his first name or his title, Kunt-JimBob. So he's having an interview with AJ, Atheist Junior. Right, and I would actually like to review it. So let's come. Okay, Kunt-JimBob is the one on the left. AJ Junior, everybody knows, the one on the right. Let's see what this prick Kunt-JimBob says. Video play.
Hello, AJ.
Hello, is my audio okay?
It is. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing pretty good. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I don't know. I figured maybe I'm not that familiar with your channel. I've seen some of your debates. Are you? Is it okay if I just ask like what some of your positions are? Just because I honestly don't know. So, are you? I'm an atheist, and I guess I'd call myself an evolutionist, even though I don't really like that word, but it works for, like, convenience sake. I guess secularist, humanist, all that.
Sure.
And you're a Christian?
Mm-hmm.
Are you a young earther?
I don't really make assessments of the age that we're.
He doesn't make assessment. It's because he's a fucking coward. He cannot stand in a position being young earth creationist or old age creationist. So he already out of the bat, he just fucking start opening his mouth as being a fucking dishonest prick.
The earth, I'm unfamiliar with any methodology that I could, confidently back and go, oh yeah, now we know. Like I just.
Okay. So I wanted to put this text here because this is the premise of his knowledge. I don't know. Okay, so AJ doesn't grasp that stupidity what he just said. Okay, I don't know, I might be wrong, right? But I'm gonna leave it for the duration of my video to depict his baseline. His baseline is I don't know, which is fine until this prick says, oh, but this and that and this and that, right? So that means he's been fucking deceitful. So, but let me see what happens.
Kind of just go, oh, I don't know.
Which is fine.
So you don't have a strong opinion on what the age of the earth or the universe is?
No.
Do you lean more towards one or the other? Do you lean more towards the billions of years answer?
No, I kind of go. I have a bias, obviously, against the billions.
Well, yes, you have an ignorance bias.
Of the years, just because it changed, it's like, is it 14 billion or is it 13? Can it be 19? Can it go back?
Remember, he's coming through the point of view that he doesn't know, right? So he's not talking to an astrophysicist or anything like that to inquire, to get knowledge. Oh, okay, that's what you're saying. Okay, fine. But now he's going all over the fucking shop, right? Just trying to change the focus
to 11, right? Like if it fluctuates so much, it seems that the margin of error is inconsequential, and I look at it more from a position of a story being told. I think if you're honest, if you're an honest atheist, you agree that both the Christian or any other theist and the naturalist we're trapped into being forced to tell a story about the past.
No, not really. You're not telling a story. You're reading the things from the story from the past via observation, via using science. You just don't look at the fucking Bible. It says, oh, okay, the Tower of Babel. Oh yeah, it existed. That's how this Kunt-JimBob is acting. Okay, out of pure ignorance.
And the question is the story reasonable to believe? Right. That's all we're really asking.
No. You want to know if it's factual, not reasonable to believe. You can believe whatever the fuck you want. The problem is the belief inside of it, right? If you intellectually dishonest. I don't think you are intellectually. You are you obtuse, to say the least.
Getting at here, I think that that secularists have a creation myth, and it is essentially some initial state and the phenomenon of a Big Bang. And
see, remember, he's coming out from I don't know. Now he's making shit up. He's trying to actually contaminating the well, poisoning the well.
Expanding universe that resulted in unrelated particular objects in space finding loyalty and regularity. And I think from that view, that just happening is a kind of a just so story. I don't think it's much different than saying God did it than just saying it happened. Like, well.
Oh, okay. So your myth is, oh, God did it. But by your likes.
You know, I don't take the position that just happened.
Okay.
Oh, well, but your God your worldview of God, he just happened to make it. What a dishonest prick.
Okay, so I would argue that if you look at the different figures that have been cited for the age of the universe, they are different. But what you'll notice is that they don't change. When they do change, it's not randomly all over the scale. They always are going in the same direction. It's always increasing.
Yeah, because they need more time.
Look at this fucking bullshit. You need more time. Listen, if it's older than 10,000 years, your Bible history is debunked, right? Never mind plus 1 billion to 2+ billion years of the 14.7 billion years. It doesn't fucking matter. Yeah, I give you 10 fucking billions, right? You still got fucking 4 billion unaccounted for, idiot.
If you want to say that, then that's fine.
No, they do need more time because they know mathematically. So forget.
He's talking about mathematics. Remember, I put the text underneath saying he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
The Earth showing up and the moon being created, right? And then
the Earth showing up. I mean, that's not intellectually dishonest. That's actually fucking ignorance.
Suddenly there's water, which, by the way, from your mythology, water was delivered by asteroids. The flood is ridiculous, but delivering water to the planet.
Oh, the flood is ridiculous. So you don't believe in the Noah's Ark? That's interesting. The flood is ridiculous.
Via asteroids, transportation is totally reasonable. Even before any of that happened, right? Like just the regularity of loyal objects in space you call our solar system is incongruent with any sort of law that we know that could create that from not that.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, remember, that's the reason, that's the sole purpose I put it up, so you guys, don't get misled by this piece of shit. Okay? He's now talking like if he knows what the fuck he's talking about. That's the funny part of it. Right? He's mumbo jumbo, word salad.
So
right, I didn't get to finish what I was saying, though.
Well, I'm saying there's a reason. It's not you're saying. I'm
There's a reason, but he doesn't know.
Actually battling back on this assumption that, well, it's not just like random time, it's added time. And I'm saying there is a reason why they keep adding time. It's because mathematics is not working in their favor.
So I love this guy's ignorance. So astrophysicists, right? They sit down, they start analyzing the telescope. Oh, you know what? I think we need to put 300 more million years. Right, that sounds a little bit right because due to these measurements, you know what I mean? I says the math is not right. Do you see the stupidity of this piece of shit?
Sure. I just have a real bad memory, so I have these two things that I wanted to just respond to, and I don't want us to get too far ahead because I'll forget.
Sure.
So the age of the universe that's cited from cosmologists is always increasing. Like recently they increased it. It's not like 4 billion years and then it goes down to 1 million years or 1 billion years and then it goes up to 13 billion and then down. It's always been increasing. And that's because I would argue in science, they're not just picking answers based on assumptions or just out of a hat. It's because the tools that they use to come to these conclusions, the tools that they use to make scientific measurements and observe different phenomena and
in a simplistic way, that's what I said. But he said it better.
make observations and do experiments get more and more advanced. For example, the James Webb Telescope that they recently launched. So that's why I would argue against saying that. Well, they're just picking the dates out of a hat.
Okay, so I have a question for you. You're saying
So he's not listening. Right? He's not listening because otherwise, you know what? I didn't understand that point of view. Can you repeat it? I've got a question. Let's see what question is.
in cosmology and astrophysics and astronomy, they're using scientific method, right?
No shit.
Yeah.
Can you tell me what the scientific method is?
Now he's doing a presuppositionally attack, right? He's attacking the argument, okay, not the tools to reach at the conclusion. That's another typical dishonest apologetics. Disgusting.
I would say, just to summarize it, it's basically like you observe a phenomenon within nature, and then you collect data on it, and then you make predictions, and then you continue to study what it is you're studying, and you do experiments. And if the predictions you make, if the data you get from your experiments and the predictions you make come true, then we usually consider that to be a confirmed hypothesis.
Okay. Is it possible to observe something, come up with a hunch, and have...
The word hunch here is an insult to scientists, right? The scientist doesn't study a field and says, let me see if I got a hunch, right? It doesn't work like that.
an accurate prediction and the model itself is false?
It is.
Okay.
The entire model? I don't know.
Okay,
I'm confused
let's
about
say-
what exactly your question
okay,
is.
let's say two different people observe the same phenomenon, and then they have two different conflicting hunches about...
No, you see, now he's saying two different things, right? It's two conflicting opposite assumptions. You cannot do that. Not in science. Not in science. People using the same field, right? That only happens with fucking Christians. Christians saying new earth young earth creation, old earth creation. Those are the only idiots that contradict each other. Okay, science doesn't contradict. That would never happen. What Kunt-JimBob is saying.
Explaining what's causing the phenomenon, right? What is the arbiter of two competing hypotheses?
The arbiter?
Yeah, the decider.
What do you mean the decider? You don't need an arbiter between two train of thoughts if you go in the same direction, right? Let's say I'm driving my car, and Kunt-JimBob is driving his car in the same road, right? And we're trying to go at each other like that, and says, okay, what would be the average speed of both of us? You don't need a fucking arbiter. We can work it out. You idiot.
What decides? What is the decider between two competing hypotheses about the same phenomenon?
Well, usually you that would be something that is referred to as Occam's razor. If you have two given outcomes, you would typically choose the one that has less assumptions in it.
Okay, is that the scientific method, or is the scientific method a little more rigorous in its arbiter of competing hypotheses?
That's more...
Right. Now, I'm really pissed off with this fucking Kunt-JimBob, because he's playing it in the background, Ken Ham. So, Ken Hovind. Right? He doesn't give a fucking shit about the interlocutor. Right? He doesn't want to absorb what he's saying. He's just like acting in the moment. It's like if the guy is high. Yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, whatever.
Occam's razor is more philosophy than it is the scientific method.
Yeah, I would say cosmology and astronomy is more philosophy than the scientific method too.
You'd say cosmology is part of philosophy?
Yeah, I would say the concept of the Big Bang is nowhere. There's no scientific method that has a viable.
Remember, no scientific method, cosmology, and this idiot says, "I confidently don't know. I don't know," and this prick, yeah, is saying, "No. Cosmology is part of philosophy."
Independent variable and a valid experiment that can produce, verification of the cause of such phenomena.
There's no example of that in all of science?
No, even Copernicus knew that cosmology and astronomy couldn't furnish a viable hypothesis, and the reason is you don't have any access. You can't introduce and remove the independent variable that you assume is causing said phenomenon. So what you have is.
So he's talking like if he knows his shit, right? Instead of spewing out a bunch of word salad. It's so fucking funny. It's unbelievable. Annoying, but extremely funny. It shows the level of ignorance.
Models that study phenomenon, and then mathematical equations that potentially describe previous phenomenon, and that'll give.
Mathematics doesn't do it. People does it. People do it.
Give you some some insight into how much time you actually need. And I would say the thing you're describing about adding time is scientists or astronomers, cosmologists, and astrophysicists trying to come up with a model of the universe that can be described mathematically. But I'm saying descriptions, mathematical descriptions, are not scientific explanations, and now they're conflated completely. Even Tesla knew this problem was happening.
And I don't know.
Well, they can be part of scientific explanations, and I would argue against saying that cosmology hasn't produced an effective confirmed prediction because
not a prediction.
Cosmologists. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, but
no,
I'm not talking about whether something can be predicted. If I study the movement of the stars, I can predict them, right?
You can predict. We can predict the future place that a planet or a star might be.
So if I can predict with enough data, does it follow that if I have a hunch that says mathematically I'm describing the cause of this phenomenon as X, and because I predicted it right, X must be true? If I watch the stars, right? Let me say it again. If I watch the stars for 1,000 years.
That's a stupid thing to say. Right? Absolutely fucking ignorant things to say.
Right. And I try to go, well, what's causing this phenomenon?
So now he's talking to himself or to somebody else 1,000 years later.
It's repeatable. I can predict it. I see this phenomenon over and over again. Now I'm asking a scientific question. What's the cause of this phenomenon?
So he studied the stars, cosmology, and he doesn't know about gravity. I mean, I don't know how much of a fool he's looking, or he understands how much of a fool he is, right? But he's really, oh man.
Right. Let's develop some theory. I want to produce a theory based on this. Okay.
You already done it, you bitch. You already done it. You said you're an expert on the field. What a stupid thing to say.
If I come up with a hunch.
It's not a hunch. It is not a fucking hunch. You talking about you just gave a hypothetical, two stupid hypothetical. One, that you got knowledge of a subject of a given matter. That's rare, right? And second, you said, 1,000 years later, you don't need to have a one. But even if I grant you the 1,000 years, right? You still see the fucking bitch going around. You don't need to make a hunch because you got factual information firsthand. You idiot.
And I say, watch. My hunch is right. Watch this star. It's about to move. And you go, holy shit, JimBob, you're right. Your hunch must be right. Now, isn't it the case that another person who has the same data could predict the same phenomenon? And we can both be wrong about our hunches as to what's causing the phenomenon?
It's a little confusingly worded, but I
Right.
guess so. I mean, I'm talking about predictions that are confirmed within science, and
Yeah, I know.
I prefer to talk about specific examples.
You see, this fucking idiot, right? He is laughing at his ignorance. He just said that he knows the field, right? He knows that how the planet rotates, right? He knows about the gravitational fields. So he knows what's going to happen in X amount of time. And the fucking idiot laughs about it.
Examples rather than vaguely talking about just models in general. And the example I was going to give was the cosmic microwave background radiation.
This guy is like Daft Dawkins, right? He's bam, 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 machine gunning the world. He's not even fucking listening to what AJ is saying. This is the pinnacle of ignorance.
Radiation. And its temperature, which was predicted within a few Kelvin.
Okay, I don't want to say degrees Kelvin. And that prediction verifies what?
Whatever they're predicting, you idiot. When you say it predicted what, it means you don't understand what AJ was saying. Right? You just want to be argumentative.
It verifies the model of cosmology, of Big Bang cosmology. It doesn't verify the entire thing, but it's part of the verification. I mean, it's a pretty big piece of Big Bang cosmology.
Okay, and then if it wasn't predicted, but it was just discovered, well, how would it change?
What? It is actually, I'm actually struggling, right? I was struggling listening to the video, original video, and I'm actually struggling trying to respond, right? Because this is like listening to a male toddler. Daddy, I don't know. I'm a thick as fucking plank of wood.
Anything.
I mean, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't, right? Right. So someone has a hunch of the universe, and then they find this phenomenon, and
you study astrophysics, and he says, "I got a hunch." Just put that in your fucking brain. Try to work out what this idiot is saying.
Fits their model of the universe. You're calling that verification of the model. I'm saying, well, if I just discovered the same phenomenon, and
the model is not based on a hunch, right? The guy who's got to put the brains on the table and start on the paper and start writing it down. Most of the time, when he creates a model, right, he gives it to somebody else or whatever. You go, you know what? Can you have a look at this, see if I'm right? Yeah, and the other guy say, yeah, okay, whatever. Yeah, so it's okay. Let's make a prediction, not a fucking hunch, a prediction.
I didn't have a model. Nothing would be different other than someone making a hunch, right?
Not quite.
An additional hunch.
I would disagree because what's the difference is that if you just come across something and just discover it, it's a little bit different than if you predicted that you would discover that thing. Like if you, for example, said that I'm looking for this specific fossil. It's never been found before. And I know 3 different places on the earth that it might be based on where this animal would have lived.
You see, he's not putting attention. He's just fucking smiling.
In geologic time, I know where it's likely to be buried in the geologic column. And I'm going to predict that if I go to one of these spots and dig, I'm going to find it. To me, if you made that prediction and then you went out and found that fossil, that would be pretty good. That would be, really? I think, good evidence that your model was had efficacy, and it would show that you pretty much knew what you were talking about. And that happened with Tiktaalik.
Oh, right. Yeah. So
yeah.
What? And then what if you have a bunch of false predictions based on this?
What if? This guy is always trying to negate what AJ is saying, right? He's not saying it. Kunt-JimBob is not saying it based on knowledge. He's just been argumentative prick.
Same model, and you find things that are actually older, right? That are.
That's not what AJ said. You fucking idiot. right? AJ example was, right, to her prediction was that if a scientist want to find a particular fossil, right, and they knew or they already know that in two other places in a certain layer they will find it, they just have to find out in another place where those layers are, dig there and find it. That's what AJ said, not about any other species. Any other species is irrelevant because AJ's exercise was to find a specific fossil. You are a dishonest piece of shit, Mr. Kunt-JimBob.
Higher up in the layers.
Higher up in the layer. That's actually irrelevant. That's not what AJ said. Let me repeat myself. AJ said, right, what if somebody wants to look at a particular fossil and it's been found in two, three, four locations in a specific layer, looking somewhere else, and they find it. That is prediction.
No, I would like to talk about TikTok for a second. Can we talk about a specific example instead of just getting vague?
Well, no,
why were they
no.
Why were they able to find that fossil though? Why
Right.
were they able to do that?
What do you mean? Why were they able to say, "Hey, I'm looking for confirmation bias on a"?
Confirmation bias. No, it's using the scientific method. Confirmation bias. What a fucking stupid thing to say. Confirmation bias. Kunt-JimBob, you are looking yourself more of a fucking retard person. Right? Confirmation bias. That tells me and to everybody and your fucking 314 viewers how absolutely ignorant you are on the subject. Absolutely fucking ignorant.
Specific fossil. Let's go look for it. You're asking
No,
why would they do that?
I'm asking why were they able to do that? Why is it that Neil Shubin said I've narrowed it down to 3 different places where I think this fossil might be, and they went to one place in Nunavut, Canada, and dug and found the exact fossil they were looking for that had never been found before. Why were they able to do that?
Why were they able to predict that a fossil exists somewhere in the
fossil?
ground?
No,
Somewhere in the ground. You see, that's the ignorant kicking in.
specific fossil. And they knew exactly where to dig for it. Why were they able to do that?
That doesn't tell me how it verifies anything from your view.
You see, that's a precept bullshit, dishonest argument. That doesn't tell me. Well, if it doesn't tell you, it's because you are fucking ignorant, or dishonest, or both. That doesn't tell me.
You're just basically arguing. You're asking me to be like, "Wow, I have no idea how that's the case. Therefore, the model's right." Is that?
You see, he didn't fucking listen to what AJ said. Absolutely nothing, because his only interest on looking around, being distracted, and not focusing on what AJ is saying. Totally piece of shit, dishonest cunt.
Science to you?
Could you answer my question?
Right.
The question assumes the thing that you're trying to verify, right? I'm asking you, how does it verify anything?
Precept bullshit.
You can't answer.
It verifies that they knew, that they predicted where the fossil would be, went out and dug it up and found it, and that they were correct, and that they probably knew what they were talking about.
That's your scientific method?
That's one example of a confirmed scientific prediction, which is the bedrock of the scientific method. Yes.
The bedrock of the scientific method is having a hunch on where something might be.
See, another a hunch. What a piece of shit. A hunch. So as a scientist, right, does a study and saying, "Oh, okay, I've seen that this fossil is here and here. Let me see somewhere else in Canada if we got that region. Oh, yes, we have. Okay, let's put up a team together to dig it out." Okay? They do it, and they dig it out. And this guy, what does he say? Oh, I don't know.
Not just a hunch. It's an educated guess, you could call it, but it's educated based on observations and data that you build up.
And the same
It wasn't
methodology.
just a hunch.
Okay.
It's not just a hunch that they were able to find Tiktaalik and narrow it down like that.
Okay. Does the same methodology produce unfavorable finds?
You see, unfavorable. He's not looking for unfavorable. He's targeting at something, right? It's like you going to a petrol station to get some fuel, right? You're not saying, "Oh, is it going to be unfavorable for me to fuel my vehicle?" Yeah, your target is to fill your vehicle with fuel, right? You don't go to negative thoughts and say, "Oh, what if other?" That's fucking stupid, man. Absolutely atrocious.
It produced the computer and microphone that you're currently using. I mean, it produced
we're not
all
talking
of the
about
all of the.
Stop it. We're not talking about engineering.
You stop it. No, that's not just engineering.
Yes,
science,
it is.
You wouldn't have
No.
You think there's
stop?
You
Stop!
know,
You're doing red herring.
computer
Stop red herring.
science.
Red herring. Stop it.
Okay, fair
Listen
enough.
to me. Red herring.
Bullied. And stop it. You've been too, AJ, you are too intellectually adept, right? Far more than this fucking Kunt-JimBob. He can't handle that. Be gentle with him. Most of these precepts are ignorant or dishonest.
Thank you. The question is, the same methodology, right, that you're appealing to when they find Tiktaalik, I'm asking you, does the same methodology produce unfavorable finds?
Yeah, of course it can.
So why? Why does it?
Unfavorable. I mean, you dig the earth, right? And it might be a rock, and you want to put a plant there. Yes, it's unfavorable to find a fucking rock, but you take the rock out and carry on digging. You retard.
Because sometimes people don't know what they're talking about, and they make predictions that don't come true. Not
So
everybody is educated on the same level.
Great. What's the ratio of favorable finds to unfavorable finds?
That's a stupid question. Because what you're trying to focus is finding something, right, based on the knowledge that you have and the past experience, right? Like AJ said, that was a wicked example, right? But now he's trying to poison in the well by saying, "Oh, you may not find it."
I don't know off the top of my head.
That's
do you mean predict? Oh, it's convenient that I don't know the ratio.
Yeah, you just appeal to this one time
of predictions that have come true over the whole history of the course of science.
Okay. No, not the course of science. Very specific predictions, right? Very specific. So you're saying, guys, look, they made a very specific prediction of what they wanted to find, and they found the thing they wanted to find. I'm asking you.
Right.
Okay, how did he do that? How did they do that, you ignorant sod? Because they are expert on the field. And you sitting behind a fucking mic with absolute ignorance.
Using the same model and foundations and tools and hunches, I'm asking you, what's the ratio of the thing they found that they tried to find? They scored, right? I'm asking you, what's the
like if it's a mathematical target, right? He's trying to put an equilibrium, right, of what him as in Kunt-JimBob, right? He's trying to put equilibrium zero, more or equal. So if there is more, if we find and don't find, that means it's unpredictable, and therefore your model doesn't work. That's what he's trying to say.
Ratio of the favorable outcome to the unfavorable.
I mean, I could Google it if you're asking.
Because he wants to Google it because he's getting confused because of the nonsensical line of questioning.
What's the ratio?
They don't tell you those, do
confirmed predictions to predictions that did come true? There's probably a lot that don't come true.
Great.
I really don't know. It doesn't mean that science doesn't work.
Right. It only, for you, it doesn't
Why fucking stop, you fucking idiot?
matter how many times they failed. It just took one for you.
No, that's one really good example. I'm not saying that proves that the scientific method works. Do you disagree that the scientific method works?
That's not the scientific method. No, that's not the scientific method.
Remember, that's not a scientific method, and he doesn't know. right? I'm repeating myself, but I apologize for that. That's the whole reason I put that, because I am unfamiliar with any methodology that I can confidently know. I put the age of the earth, but it was actually the universe, but it doesn't matter. Same principle apply. Yeah, and he reiterated saying, I don't know. And this piece of shit is arguing about something that he doesn't know.
What's the observation?
What is the observation? How can an ignorant person say to a scientist, not to AJ, but to a scientist, what's the observation? If you don't know the field, you should be fucking quiet. What's the observation?
The observation was where was the geologic column and fossil history of Tiktaalik.
No, that's a question. I asked you, what's the observation?
For what?
I didn't ask where's Waldo. Yeah, I asked what's the observation? If that's the scientific method in that instance, what's the observation?
The observation is that they dug and they found the fossil fuel. The fossil that they were guessing that it was going to be there. That is the observation, physical fucking observation. You dumb fuck.
The observation is studying the lineage of Sarcopterygian fish. So they were fish that had been found before, but not Tiktaalik. Based on where those had been found, based on the geologic column, you could narrow it down to a bracketed date. And you get that date, you know what ranges of sediment those might be in and what areas on Earth that those are likely to be in based on the soil composition and based on how that land is laid out. Great. That's the observation.
Okay, and then how about the observation of when the assumed fossil or animal is found in a layer that doesn't make any sense at all?
You see, now he's putting attributes to the conversation that was not relevant, right? He's talking about unscientific approaches. He's making fucking things up as he goes, right? He's trying to put the negative side of it, include it into the scientific method.
Well, that's not something that's really happened before.
Of course it happens all the time.
It happens all the time because I don't know.
Okay, do you have an example of that?
I'm not on offhand, but...
I don't know it offhand. I just fucking talked out of my fucking ass and I don't know because I don't have it on hand. So you're talking bullshit.
The layers...
Oh, that's convenient.
Right.
Fair enough, but I can find it. It's that...
Yeah.
The predictions, right, of predictions of where things should be in the layer is not consistent. They find old things at the top. They find old things at the bottom. They find new things at the bottom. It's all different.
What old things do they find at the top? Do they find trilobites?
Booyah!
I don't know.
I don't know. I don't fucking know. That's the whole fucking point. I don't know. You ignorant fuck. I don't know. So why the fuck are you opening your mouth?
What they're finding. It's just that the reality is that if you're going to...
I don't know. That's a reality. You're full of shit.
Go based off of, well, if for the prediction of a layer and the location is the basically the variable that you're affirming the hunch is correct, but there's as many cases where it's not correct. I'm asking you, well then what is the methodology you really are affirming here if it could produce unfavorable and favorable? I'm just asking.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand this. AJ is talking about something that has been proven by a scientist. He was looking for a specific fossil and the person found it. They got papers for it. Okay? And this guy is giving an example that what if not? It's not what if not. It happened. They found it. Game over for you, idiot.
So I said that there are predictions that don't come true. That's not saying that the scientific method itself only works a small percentage of the time. I'm specifically talking about predictions that come true or don't come true.
I'm saying what you're describing isn't actually the scientific method.
Well, then
something else.
Please give me a definition of what the scientific method is.
Scientific method is an observation in the natural world, a phenomenon, right? An observation, and then an assumption on what's causing that, right? What's causing this phenomenon here that we see? What causes this? That means...
No, you fucking idiot. Let's continue. I've got a fucking headache just listening to this prick.
You have something you have access to that you can introduce into something called an experiment, introduce it and remove it such that it produces this phenomenon.
Remember, ladies and gentlemen, this guy is saying, I don't know. I need to reiterate what I'm saying. I don't know. That's what this piece of shit said at the beginning.
And you go, shit, it looks like we can develop a theory now. Or it's null. Or we've developed that it's just not the case. What we thought was the case, it's not looking like it's the case. Now, that's the scientific method. What you're referring to is people studying some object or animal or group and saying there must be something hidden somewhere out there that's slightly different but similar to this, right? Right? That's all you're saying. And then you find it, and what does it verify? What is it that's being affirmed here in your discovery?
You would not say that if you got some knowledge behind it. That's the sad part of it.
Your hypothesis.
No, hypothesis is the assumed cause of something. It's like you're saying a hypothesis and like a guess, like I'm going to guess that I'm going to find a fish or something that looks the way I think it should look, right? I'm asking you, if you find that thing, what is it in fact that's being verified there? I'm asking.
A model.
And I would just give the same answer that if you have a hypothesis, which is not just a hunch, it's something that's based on the evidence that you have.
The evidence you didn't. Okay, so the evidence you have in this case, the evidence you have in this case is some knowledge of pure data, right, in regards to a particular animal, right?
Right. Now, he's talking about scientists that he knows some information, correct?
Sure, yeah.
Right, okay. And then your hunch is...
No hunch, you fucking idiot. It's no hunch.
I wonder if we can predict where we can find a similar animal, right?
Right.
And so you find a similar animal. That's like me saying, hey, there's this fish right here. I wonder if I can find where another thing that looks like this. And then you go, well, maybe I can determine where there used to be a lot of water. Now I'm asking you, let's say I go to that place and I find another animal that's similar in its phenotype, right? Similar in its anatomy. I don't...
No. He was talking about fossils. Okay? So we're talking about common descent. You're not going to find the same fucking animal that happened 1 billion years ago, you idiot.
I don't know what else is being discovered other than, oh, there's an animal who lived in a similar environment as this other animal.
That's a typical Ken Hovind approach.
I'm asking you, what's being affirmed or verified here?
Well, it's not just that it's a similar environment; it's a similar time frame, and paleontologists are able to understand that if this other part of the lineage of these Sarcopterygian fish lived during X million years ago in this range of millions of years, then if we can narrow down a cross section of the right geologic layers versus areas where those are going to be exposed onto the surface of Earth, then we can find the fossil that we're looking for.
Yeah, but
the exact fossil.
I know, but I'm saying other than finding a fossil of an animal that shares an environment but in a different time frame, I'm asking what is it you're verifying by finding the fossil?
That your hypothesis was correct and that you know what you're talking about. I don't really know how else you want me to answer this.
So having a guess on something and then
finding
something that verifies the guess, you're saying verifies the guess.
It's not just a guess, though. It's not. You're saying it's a blind guess. Is that part of the scientific method?
I'm asking you, in addition to the guess that they're making, what is being verified? Other than that you guessed correctly where something would be.
It would be your predictions and your hypothesis. I don't know. What are you getting at? Like, just like stop buttering me up and just give me the answer.
What if you found footprints, right, in a lower strata of where Tiktaalik was found? Is that?
Remember, he's coming from out of ignorance.
Oh, there it is. Okay, so this is what we've been leading to.
No, it's just that I'm asking you a direct question on what it verifies, and you're just giving me a circular answer, right? You study the fish, or you study some animal. You make a hunch of where another fossil similar to this animal could exist. You go find it, and I go, great, you found something that's similar to this animal. I'm asking you, what is being verified by finding it? And you said, what do you mean? It's verifying the hypothesis. What's the hypothesis other than you're going to find something in a similar environment? I'm asking you. You're not telling me.
It doesn't debunk the original find just because you found what footprints in a lower layer.
Well, it changes how you interpret layers to be something that are predictive in regards to age. Yeah.
And remember, this is the idiot that says I don't know, and he's coming like if he knows not what the fuck he's talking about.
You're talking about the tracks in Poland, right? That's what you're talking about. Like, I know this argument.
You
see this piece of shit, Kunt-JimBob, right? He's more interested on putting notice in his fucking what's the name? In his stream. He's not focusing. He's not focused on the conversation. He's all over the fucking shop, right? Because he's not interested in acquiring information, in learning, in assimilating knowledge to say, oh, okay, shit, I was wrong. No, he's a dishonest piece of shit.
Know it, but I don't see you actually refuting or figuring out how to navigate it, because the fact is, if the basis of you going, whoop-diddy-doo, we found a...
Kunt-JimBob, the problem is not AJ. The problem is that you're not fucking listening.
A thing where we thought it would be, based on its strata, its location, its geographic location and such, and its form. You're saying, let's celebrate. But you're celebrating because you found something, but at the same time, you know, you find things that are older or younger, depending on where you're looking. And so if that's the case...
He's just making things up.
Then I'm just saying, I'm asking you again. Like, I'm allowing you to tell my whole audience what's being verified other than you guessed that you would find something in a certain area. What is it proving, right? What is it demonstrating?
It proves that science is right and that science works and that paleontology is accurate and that the age of the Earth that you say is all over the place is probably true, and that scientists probably know what they're talking about.
Right. Okay, hold on.
Better than you do. And better than me.
Hold on. Okay, appeals to authority here.
Appeal to authority against an ignorant person like you. That's an understatement, you idiot. Appeal to authority.
Listen.
It's not an appeal to authority.
If finding the right one proves that the scientists are right and they know what they're talking about, what if when the same scientists are wrong about what they find, do they suddenly not know what they're talking about?
Well, the day that Neil Shubin gets it wrong, I'll answer that question.
That's not that you didn't answer the question. By your logic, because they got it right in this particular instance. And if I ask you if the same scientist got...
If the same... So it's giving a hypothetical. Right? Oh, you didn't answer my hypothetical question. Because I'm a fucking dishonest prick.
Got it wrong in another instance. What say you about when they got it wrong?
What say me? Scientists are human. So some predictions are going to come true, but some might not. The ones that are based on more solid evidence are going to, and the key word here is probably. So it shows that these people probably who have spent their...
You see what he's doing? Right? He's manipulating his stream because he's not interested. This uneducated piece of shit is just trying to be fucking
entire lives studying these subjects and are the experts in the relevant field, probably know what they're talking about better than people debating on the internet about this stuff. And that's people do get things wrong, but I mean, so if does that prove that science is wrong because scientists get things wrong? Is that what you're saying?
No, if it's the case that scientists are right because they got something right, then the same scientists who got something wrong are also wrong.
Okay.
Okay. So you're basically
I'm not
saying,
making that argument, and you say that you're not making that argument, so what the fuck are we even talking about?
You did make the argument. You're like, hey, they got this right, so we should probably trust the scientists. I'm saying,
yeah, probably.
The same science.
Not 100% right all the time. I said it shows they probably know what the fuck they're talking about better than you do.
Do you know how to establish probability?
Kunt-JimBob, why don't you educate us?
Enlighten me.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, you have to have access to the favorable outcomes and the unfavorable outcomes. Does that sound reasonable?
Sure. I mean, okay. I wanted to talk about the footprints, but
I know. So if and I asked you, what's the ratio between the favorable outcomes in which they scored based on their model and they didn't score? Now, what if it was the case that they mostly didn't score with their findings? What if that was the case? How are you going to argue probability then?
Well, this is an easy one to answer to this piece of shit, right? Car, tire, yeah. Once upon a time, Mr. Kunt-JimBob, somebody made a tire on a triangle format, right? And it's going bam, 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 bam. No, let's put four-sided, right? They got it wrong, yeah. They put four sides. I'm just giving an example, like this piece of shit said, right? So they put four sides, a square, a little bit more pleasant, but still with the thing. Now, let's do a pentagon size, right? And they start adding sides to the original triangle. And guess what? At the end, they end up with a circle. I'm being fucking stupid here. But we have to lower our IQ, right, to come up with the silly response that this prick is saying. Right? That's how you come. You use your failures to move forward. When you move forward and you are positive with the assumption or whatever scientific method you approached and it works, you test it. Right? You make predictions of it. It fucking happens again. So yeah, then you go a model, using a model. And when it does it many, many, many times, it becomes a fucking theory. Right? Because it fucking works. But because you're a fucking dishonest piece of shit, right? You're trying to be like a fucking daft dog, being argumentative. You're arguing about the argument, not about the scientific method. Right? You're trying to confuse the fuck out of AJ, which that's the huge notion of dishonest religious charlatans.
Hold on, I'm going to Google it.
Google it, yeah. Google it.
Because, I mean...
Why the fuck you laughing? When you, at the beginning of the conversation, you said, I don't know. You ignorant prick.
Well, are you asking, I feel like I've already asked this, but are you asking about the rate of confirmed scientific predictions versus wrong predictions?
Yeah, predictions. If you're saying probability, that we should probably believe stuff that they say, No.
It's not probably that something. It's probably is there. Right, in a specific location. You are misleading what AJ was saying. Okay, at the very beginning, a scientist said, okay, based on our understanding of a particular issue, it is probable that something is there. Right, not that it's there or not there 50-50. It's highly probable. They did the observation, they did the examination, and they found it. Okay, that became 100%. Not 50-50, 100%.
In their own system, they're mostly wrong about things, right? I would actually argue on a larger scale that the value of science is that it's mostly wrong.
Yeah, but when we get it right, we move forward and we don't use what it failed. Right? You test. If you want to paint your fucking house, yeah, I say, oh, I want it black or I want it white. Yeah, you don't paint it in different colors and say, oh, no, I don't want that, bin it. No, you use your past experience, say, oh, I want a lighter color. Then you choose between lighter colors. Okay, that's the fucking principle behind it. You learn by experience. You adopt some models from your previous time, right? And you apply it to the present. You move forward. You're not being fucking you don't contradict yourself when you want to achieve a particular purpose.
That's the funny irony about appealing to science, is that it's actually valuable.
Appealing to science. What the fuck are you going to appeal to? Religion? To find out what's the age of the fucking earth or the universe? You piece of shit.
That they come up with null, that most of the time, that they actually negate something to be the case, that they're wrong. So that's one of the values in pursuing descriptive truths of the natural world. But you're saying, well, they're probably right about all these things, right? We started with astronomy, cosmology, which is not science. You can't do the scientific method at all. It's all guesswork, right? It's all mathematical descriptions. It's all modeling. In natural science, you have to have access to an independent variable. So in both of your instances, when you're coming up here, you referred to two things, paleontology and cosmology, neither of which can furnish a viable hypothesis. It's all guesswork and modeling.
Says the guy that doesn't have those qualifications. That at the beginning he says, I don't know. And he's arguing against paleontology.
Do you think science is wrong about the age of the universe?
It's an unfalsifiable claim.
So that's not really an answer. That was kind of a dodge.
No, it's not a dodge, because the state.
So are they right then?
It's a malformed question. They can't verify it.
Are they wrong about paleontology? Are they wrong about the age of the Earth?
There's no methodology available to falsify it.
Okay, can you give me an example of something that science is wrong about?
Can I give you an example of something science was wrong about?
Yeah.
Does that include nefarious activities of lying?
It's whatever you want, baby.
Yeah, they were wrong about Piltman.
Piltdown Man?
Yeah.
Okay.
They carried that for 50 years, dude, and people like you were like spurging out. Oh, it's real. I found it. We found this. We found that. Well, it turned out they lied.
Yeah, and do you know who it was that showed that Piltdown Man wasn't actually proof of evolution? It was the paleontologists and evolutionists, not creationists. Great. Well, why would they do that if they're trying to promote this hoax? Why would they admit that this is bullshit?
Hey, listen, did I say anything about a creationist?
No.
Don't poison the well.
Yeah, but oh, so you're old age creationals. It doesn't matter. It's religious people. He should have said it that way.
It's not poisoning the well. Come on, don't be
Shut
naive.
your mouth.
Oh, well, can you answer the question though?
No, if you're gonna be disingenuous, right? And
I'm not being disingenuous.
I didn't say anything about creationism versus anything. We're talking about the Piltdown Man, right?
So Piltdown Man has nothing to do with creationists versus evolutionists.
Listen how dumb your argument is. Listen to this.
How dumb your argument is. Coming from a fucking ignorant that says, I don't know. There's an irony.
You're serious? You know it's pretty to put that forward, right? Listen. All the time?
Listen, you just said this. Oh, well, do you know who figured out that the scientists were lying? It was more scientists. Okay, great. What's your point?
That it makes no sense for people who are putting forward this evolutionary hoax to try and, convert your children over to Satanism and
when did I say
anything?
When I say that?
Please, I didn't say that you say that. I'm making a fucking joke, dude. Like,
listen,
let me finish.
I don't like
sentence.
to joke. Don't say flaggable words on my channel, dude.
Okay. Let me rephrase what I was going to say. So does it make any sense for people who are promoting an evolutionary hoax to reveal that their Piltdown Man was not real and to reveal that it was fake? Why would they expose themselves? That's
irrelevant to whether or not
That's a dodge. That's a fucking dodge, you piece of shit.
Science as you know it can be wrong and misrepresent the truth.
That's a dodge.
It's not a dodge because you're arguing some
It is a dodge. It is a fucking dodge.
No, you're arguing intent, right? It has nothing to do with the methodology. You're arguing intent.
I'll ask a different question then. Do creationists use Piltdown Man as an argument against evolution?
Did they for 50 years? Yes.
Do they still do it today?
No, but they did for 50 years.
Right, you see, now he made a trick question, AJ. The creationists. I said, oh, don't say that, didn't say that. And you said, yes, they did it for 50 years. So a creationist scientist faked something that the current scientists at that time could not figure one out. And says, okay, it might be true then, right? So what AJ is saying and what you are accepting is a creationist scientists were liars. So thank you, Kunt-JimBob.
So why did you spurb out when I mentioned creationism?
Right.
Because whether or not Piltdown Man is a fraud or not, and the influence
it was a fucking fraud. A Christian fucking fraud.
It had on education is irrelevant to creationism, dummy.
How? It's a creationist argument. It's
obviously
part of this.
What are you talking about?
Piltdown Man. You just used it yourself. That Piltdown Man.
Oh, do you know what
proves
a genetic
that evolution
fallacy
is wrong?
Do you know what a genetic fallacy?
See, now he cannot be fucking honest and own it. He was caught out by AJ. Well fucking done, AJ. Right? It shows the level of ignorance from this piece of shit. This other piece of shit.
Fallacy is?
Yes.
Did I say Piltdown Man proves that evolution? You're just a liar now, dude.
No, I said that creationists make that argument.
Am I making that argument?
No, I didn't say
then
you were.
Then shut the fuck up. Stop lying, you demon.
How am I lying?
You just lied, dude.
Okay, so give me an example of a scientific field that is wrong, or a model that's wrong.
A model that's wrong?
You said most of science is wrong.
That has been wrong?
You said most of science is wrong. Give me an example.
I mean, based on the scientific...
He doesn't know. Now he's making it up because being caught out again.
Method, it was reasonable to believe that using leeches, the way they use leeches, actually produced a result.
Okay.
Everything observable.
I'm talking about modern day science.
No, you just said
most
science.
Of science is wrong.
You slippery little whale. You said science.
Okay, you got me. Okay, can you give me an example from modern science that's wrong?
What?
Can you give me an example from modern science of like
natural
wrong?
Selection.
Okay, how do you know that that's wrong?
How do I know that's wrong?
Why do you think it's wrong?
Right. So remember, he says, "I don't know."
Why do I think natural selection's wrong?
Yeah.
I would say it's mathematically incompatible with time.
And he said, I don't know. So if that's the case, present the model. Prove it.
Because there's not enough time for it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't know how old the universe is.
Touche.
No, if I granted your view, that's called an internal critique.
Okay. But, okay. So why is it that... So you're saying that even on a scale of billions of years, natural selection couldn't happen because of mathematics? It's mathematically impossible?
Well, that's just starting from how do you organize the first protein assembling itself from a bunch of unrelated amino acids that somehow bond themselves together. Not only that, but the bonding of them, even if you granted that miracle.
Miracle. Yeah. Your Jesus put it there when he was fucking wanking himself up.
Time itself and the elements, heat and cold and sun and water, are not in favor of its life. So
it sounds got nothing to do with the beginning of the universe, you fucking piece of shit.
That's just proteins. Now we're talking about single cell development to multi-cell, then sexual development, right? And no, not a single one of you can lay out a reasonable timeline of how this actually occurs. It's just merely a story that it did, and we know that it...
Well, you mean the story like in the Bible? Is that what you're saying?
Did, because here we are. That's all we get from you guys. So when you ask a question...
Sorry. Didn't mean to over talk.
No, go ahead.
Are you sure? Could you give me a definition of natural selection?
Natural selection?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if the definition's changed, but...
yeah, Google it, bitch. Google it.
Essentially, it's sexual selections or like pressures on the organism, right? Including random mutation and sexual selection that produce
Sexual selection. Really?
and carry off traits to their offspring that are, in their view, it's workable traits, things that favor the organism. That isn't to say natural selection can't temporarily produce disadvantageous traits, but you would argue that those things, if they don't turn themselves around, they might be at the disadvantage of the organism and the population, and that population wouldn't exist, which is the circular argument of, well, we know natural selection works because the creatures we see today obviously evolved from that, and they're
And this is the guy that hasn't got fucking any studies and is arguing against it by using religion.
they lived long enough. And we say, how do you know that? And they say, because they're here today. That is to assume every other species that ever existed, they failed the process. They failed the process in some way.
Well, most of them did. I mean, about 99% of species that have lived on Earth went extinct.
Because they didn't evolve, or why else?
Because they didn't live long enough to reproduce individually, and then as a species, they died off.
Right, but did they die off because they didn't evolve quick enough?
No. Carry
on. Well, they died off because of predation or disease or a lot of different factors, but they didn't. I wouldn't say it's that they didn't evolve fast enough.
What evolves is the population, not single individual, right? Mr. Kunt-JimBob, you are confusing the concept. It's not a particular individual that got a trait or not, right? It's what it passes, and you pass it via a community. So sad.
I mean, it's more just that Earth and nature are incredibly harsh to live in, and most species aren't going to survive. But natural selection, when you say natural selection, I picture like modern day animals and the selection process that shows that animals that are more adapted to their environment are more likely to survive and pass on their genes or live long enough to reproduce. But then when you started talking about abiogenesis, which is a separate topic from evolution, it's tangentially related and it's important, but it's not part of the evolutionary theory. And you started talking about single cells and proteins. That's not really.
Yeah, it is. Even if I granted you life, is a replicator not life?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that natural selection wasn't happening back then, but I just tend to think that natural selection, think about Darwin's finches or, dogs that live in colder climates that have long fur because of mutations. Yeah. Mutations are going to be selected for because there's going to be a rate higher than zero that are not that are beneficial, and those are going to be selected for.
Darwin didn't know about genes, so let's just take this. Let's say take a finch. You watch finches long enough, and you assume that their behavior starts morphing their beak either.
No. You don't watch their life. You're not fucking following a fucking bird. You retard, right? You look at the population, right? That's why you got it fucking wrong altogether, right? This Kunt-JimBob is focused on individual entities, right? And it's totally wrong what he's saying.
Longer, shorter, or sharper, right? Based on their behaviors.
No, based on the environment, no behavior. You don't say, "Oh, I'm gonna behave mad and I'm gonna have a fucking longer beak, you twat."
Right. Now, my question to you is: how would you determine whether the morphing of their physiology, right, is an effect of a mutation, or is it a response that they're already encoded to have to the environment? How would you know the difference?
Because we can study mutations and see it happening. We can do artificial selection in the laboratory and recreate these processes. And that's where these changes come from, is mutations. Because animals reproduce, and they're never
how many
the exact
positive
clones.
how many mutations have you documented and observed that resulted in a positive apparatus to the organism?
You see, this is another stupid fucking thing, right? A single mutation, you will not even fucking perceive it. You think a mutation is between no wing and a wing, right? It's small fucking mutations, right? It may come out a little bit, whatever. Yeah, they might use the upper extremity, yeah, and start fucking flapping or whatever, right? And then mutation will kick in little by little. It is the population that survive and pass on their traits as a colony, as a group, not as an individual.
Well, if you're talking about beneficial mutations are context specific. So something that's beneficial for one species in one environment might not be beneficial for a different environment or different species.
Okay, hold on. What's the?
They have been observed. I have examples if you want.
What is the?
See, now the honest thing to say from Kunt-JimBob is, oh, do you have evidence? Please show it to me so I can be educated. But no, this piece of shit Christian, right, doesn't want to fucking listen. I go, oh shit, let me ask another question. I want to dodge.
Mathematically speaking, what is the most common characterization of a mutation?
Well, I would just say that it's a replication error in DNA.
Okay. So is the 99% of all mutations, is it advent?
No. It's not 99% of mutation, right? It's 99% of the species that we knew that's gone extinct. It's not. What a fucking dishonest piece of shit. Oh man.
Disadvantageous, or neither?
I'd say they're mostly neutral.
In neutral, if it's neutral, is it actually over time, right? If there's a replication or a mutation that's neutral over time, is it degenerative or generative?
If it's degenerative, the population would not survive. That's a stupid question. That's an ignorant question to say, right? Because everything that is degenerative, it will not be passed on. Or if it passed on, that group selection will fail, and that is the part of the 99% that did not make it.
I'd say neither, but I would admit I don't know the definitions of generative off the top of my head. I will admit that.
Well, I'm saying, like, does it add any value, or does it ultimately a problem long term?
Well, by definition, it's neutral. So I would just say neither, I guess.
Okay. So in your view, you're saying when I put a cow in a freezer and it responds, right, by growing thicker hair really quickly.
See? He's thinking on a moment that you put a cow on a fridge and it's going to fucking get a 17-inch fake. That's a stupid question. Stupid analogy. I would have called him out there.
Right? It reacts to the cold, right? I'm asking you, did you determine that that's a mutation happening in real time or a response that's already coded in the animal?
No, I would say that that's not an example because the mutations that I'm talking about are based on one generation to another.
Right.
Animals are going to try and replicate their DNA, and it's never going to be done perfectly because animals don't produce exact clones of themselves. I mean, some do, but they're going to be slight changes, and those changes are mutations. But it's not, what I'm talking about is not going to happen within one organism because it has to change to evolve. That's the definition of evolution, is change.
Okay. So you're saying the majority of all mutations are basically neutral. That means they don't add complexity to the genetic sequence, and they don't hurt the genetic sequence. It's neither. Now I'm asking you, based on your creation myth of evolution, if I granted you a replicator and even some basic single cell organisms that are a little more advanced, you're telling me that what your knowledge of mutations, right, which is the mechanism by which you're arguing evolution long term, is happening. What you know about evolution given mutations is that 99% of all of mutations do nothing.
No, 910.
But you have a story that they did everything.
It's long-term and short-term.
Okay.
I mean,
is there a long-term? Does long-term, if you wait long enough, does the mutation suddenly go from 99% neutral to what percent are you granting yourself? As far as
I'm sorry, say that again?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he just realized that. AJ just realized what the fuck the nonsensical stuff what he was saying, right? How the fuck will you say that, right? The 99%. AJ was not talking about 99%, yeah, of fucking DNA side of it. Is the 99% of animal, the species that have they're not here anymore.
Okay, with enough time, at what point in time does the majority of mutations go from neutral to beneficial?
Well, again, it depends on the context. It depends on what animal it is and what environment.
No, it's not. It's the environment. The environment is the one who will dictate your change.
Any context.
I just said it. He just said that. The fucking environment, bitch.
It's the amount of time in any given organism or population. I'll grant you access to everything you have access to right here. At what point in time does the 99% of neutral mutations that are just replications of useless, no new information, no new complexity, how much time does it take for that 99% neutrality of...
That's a stupid question. He started incorrectly with the question. Unfortunately, AJ did not catch on that.
Of replication dip over into beneficial.
Well, they don't change into being beneficial. There's neutral mutations, and then there's beneficial mutations, and then there's harmful ones. And there's probably a lot of them that are harmful.
Okay, so I'll ask it again. So we'll start from the beginning of life, right? I'll grant you a bunch of life. I'll even grant you populations. I'll grant you all the populations, right? Which, by the way, natural selection has to account for how you got populations, which you also...
Natural selection doesn't account for shit, you idiot. It's a terminology that we have invented of a process, you idiot. Natural selection has to account, really? Like if it's a thing, like a living thing.
So can't do. So I grant you a bunch of populations, right? They have spotted things, they have long necks, they have all sorts of things going on. They have horns and fangs and venom, all this shit. Okay, I'm asking you, if what we know about genetic mutations is that it's 99% the case that they don't add anything and they don't remove anything.
Remember, this guy is making the stuff up as he goes.
Anything. They're neutral. They do nothing. In fact, it's actually argued over time, even the neutral are add to some disadvantage. But it doesn't matter. I'm asking you, way back in time, when is it your...
Way back in time, AJ should have jumped. What, you're talking about 3.7 billion years ago, for example, just to catch him up.
We're going to assume that there were suddenly beneficial mutations.
Suddenly, it's like instantaneously.
Or always beneficial, and then suddenly we're in the tail end, and almost none are beneficial.
I don't even really know how to answer that.
Right.
Because you stumped me.
Well, I mean, I don't think anyone can answer it. So it's not against you. It's just that when you argue for random mutation guiding natural selection and everything we know about random mutation.
No. It's not guiding natural selection. Yeah, the individual is surviving in that place. That's called natural selection.
Mutation produces a neutral effect. It seems unreasonable to go back in time and grant yourself that beneficial mutations were rampant, right? Because everything you know about mutations now...
I didn't say rampant.
Well, they'd have to be very aggressive, right, for the time period?
No, you seem to be saying that my argument is that you need beneficial mutations to evolve. That's not what I'm saying. They don't have to be beneficial to all mutations incur evolution. Okay, evolution is defined as reproduction with it's descent with modification. So as long as the organism is different, then that counts as evolution.
Hold on a second. Right. If there's any benefit to the organism, is it not the case from your view that that benefit, that apparatus, that feature was caused by natural selection?
Caused by natural selection?
Yeah. Mutation.
No, I wouldn't. No, it's not caused by natural selection.
Okay, so did a mutation produce an advantageous element to an organism? Yes or no?
It can. Yes, it has happened, and I have examples of that.
Okay, how would it not be the case? How would let's say a snake doesn't have fangs, and over a course of time it develops fangs?
As an ignorant analysis.
I'm saying whether it developed fangs or not, would you say that has to be an effect caused by what you call random mutation and sexual selection?
Sexual selection.
I didn't mention sexual selection. You did. That's just another mechanism of evolution. But
okay.
Natural selection is just dealing with making an animal more likely to survive long enough to reproduce. Mutations are still causing the offspring of an animal to be different than their parent. That counts as evolution. So even if that organism goes extinct, it's still evolved. It stops evolving as soon as it dies and that species goes extinct and the last one dies. But it still counts as evolution.
Okay,
we're not beneficial ones are selected for, and it deals with survival. It still counts as evolution, unless that's not what you're arguing.
I'm just asking you a question. Are beneficial traits the result of mutations? Yes or no?
I'll say yes.
Okay. If it's the case that beneficial mutations that add to the complexity, the genetic information, their ability to navigate the world and survive, okay? If that's caused by mutations, based on your knowledge of what mutations are today, how is it that you jumped to, right, that there was a time in which mutations weren't 99% neutral? I'm asking you, how did you make the jump?
Did I say that? I don't think I said that there was a time when they were not 99% neutral. If I did, then I misspoke.
Hold on. Is it not the case that if you go back far in time to the beginning of all life, if it maintained that 99% of all mutations were neutral, we couldn't have the world we have today, right?
I would disagree, because I think that would actually track with what we see in the extinction of most species, how most species that have ever lived on Earth went extinct. And
listen.
Okay, go ahead.
This is terrible.
You're gonna shush me, then fine. Yeah,
I am gonna shush you. It's for your own good.
Really?
Right now, everything that exists, all the mutations and all the things you know that exist today are 99%. The mutations are 99% neutral. So
no, you fuck.
Logic, we should be extinct right now. But your own reasoning is we're not extinct right now. Why? Because we evolved and we got better traits. And that's why those other things died out. Well, no. If the beneficial traits are a result of mutation and the things we have today don't have any rapid rate of positive effects of mutation, they're just neutral, we should be dying too.
Yeah, I agree.
A contradiction.
Life is very precious and we're lucky to be alive. We really are.
I don't need slogans, man.
Well, it's true. Most species died off.
Hey, Kunt-JimBob, what you need is to learn, right? Open your fucking ears, right? Stop looking at your fucking screens and your people, right? And listen. That's your problem. Your ignorance.
The reason that humans flourished is because we were able to walk upright and have a brain case that supported bigger brains, and we were able to cook food and get less malnutrition. We were able to sweat, which I don't know of other animal species that can sweat like we can. And we were able to exist and live long enough to move out of Africa, because it sounds ridiculous, but because we walk upright and most of us have hair on the top of our heads and we sweat, we are able to survive these African conditions and not die of heat stroke.
And why is it that if I put you...
But most animals die.
Tell me, so why if I put you into the Congo, you'd only...
See, now he's talking about, again, an individual. even if you put even if we entertain that stupidity that you put AJ in the Congo, that means his genetic stuff will not get passed to other, unless it doesn't. Like, you know what? That's even fucking stupid, right? Because I can counter that. He could have kids, right? He could have kids, right? And he can die tomorrow, right? His gene will pass on. It doesn't need to be, the individual doesn't need to live. What the individual needs to do is pass his traits, have sex.
Last 3 days. After all those years of development, you would die in 3 days.
Probably because I'm not native to the Congo, like those early humans were.
How do you define fitness?
And I haven't lived there my entire life. Yeah,
no, hold on. If evolution is a long process that passes useful traits on, you're at the effect of that long lineage of useful traits, and you're saying I didn't live long enough. No, this is a contradiction also.
So different species have got different built anatomies, right, to survive in that environment, and all of a sudden the humans have to have that trait. Are you that fucking stupid?
If you got the trait, right, that you just argued you'd had, sweating, being able to travel all across the Congo, you would be
being able to travel long distances.
Okay, so I'm saying now you're saying you devolved.
But if I can add really quick, another advantage to that is that we're able to hunt animals and prey and last longer than they could, and they would get exhausted, and eventually human hunters would catch up to them. That's how early hunters caught their prey. Am I wrong?
See, okay. So he's not listening. He's not listening. He's a spitting image of Darth Dawkins.
How would
Am I wrong? Did God did it?
No. How would you define fitness? Evolutionary.
Just how likely.
I would say survivability. You survive, you are fit.
An animal is to be, or how well adapted an animal is to its current environment, and so that how good the phenotype matches the genotype, basically.
And to what end?
To reproduce.
What does that mean?
To the proliferation of what?
Life.
The survival of that species.
Right.
To the proliferation of their genes, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, do you think that believing in God is an evolutionary trait that was selected for?
I think it's possible.
Okay.
No, that's a mistake from AJ. It's not possible. It's like saying an invention of Superman, you pass it through your genes. No, you don't pass that through your genes.
So do you know, out of all the people in the whole world, who is, by a long shot, passing on their genes the most?
Muslims?
Yeah, well, religious people, just generally. But yeah, Muslims. But just in general, religious people. So do you think that we ought to maintain the species?
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's the case that the highest value from your view is maintaining the species, would you advocate that people believed in God if it were the case that it resulted in propagation of the species?
No, because our planet is desperately overcrowded.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, you bitch.
Full of shit.
Yes, it is.
No,
yes,
it's not, dude. That's such a lie. Where do you go to school?
Where do you go to school? I think your school was a church.
Okay.
Who taught you that? Who taught you that?
I'm not going to tell you what school.
Who taught you that gibberish? Shame on you.
Okay, explain to me how I'm wrong then.
Who told you?
No. Darth Dawkins, you've been countered, right? So explain why it's not the case. Yeah, he's trying to say to go, prove me the negative.
I'm not going to answer that question. That's a stupid question.
Okay. Someone told you that. Did you raise your hand and go, wait a second, how do you know that? Did you ask that or no?
Stop dodging my question.
So, no, that was a question to you.
No, how is the planet not overcrowded?
Who determined what overcrowded is? Can you give me the number and how they determine that?
You see, that's a precept. Again, he's arguing about the argument, not about the data.
No, I can't. I just repeat shit that people tell
Fuck
me.
you, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, have you seen the overcrowding in India?
Have you seen the Indians? That's not the.
Okay, so that's
question.
not overcrowded.
That's not the
you
question.
You know the population density in India.
Have you seen New York City? What are you talking about? You're talking about enclosed cities, right? And locations. Listen to me. How did you determine the threshold of overcrowdedness?
Probably based on the fact that there are not enough natural resources to go around and we're destroying our planet.
How did you determine that? I said.
Based on knowing those facts.
Oh, you determined by knowing it. I'm asking you, how do you know those facts?
No. You see, now he's rubber trading. He's going back and back and back and back and back. Yeah, precept stuff.
Because how do I know that there's not enough resources to go around? What a fucking stupid question. Do you think that there are?
Oh, stupid question you can't answer. By reasserting that it's the case. Listen, we'll take this slowly, dude. You just said we're overpopulated, and I said, how did you determine that? And you said because we are. Didn't you see?
No,
India?
That's not what I fucking said, asshole.
Yeah.
I said
have you been to India?
There's a limited amount. Yeah, because look at the fucking look at the
did
overcrowding
you
in India.
Dude, this is a basic question.
It's just an example, douchebag.
How did you determine, right? How did you determine? What's the methodology you determine that we don't have enough resources? That we're overcrowded? That any of this stuff? How did you determine that?
It's like saying that's a priest. He's looking for saying, "Oh, because I use my senses for the data." He said, "Oh, so how can you be wrong?"
What do you have, a direct line to Bill Gates or something?
I don't even know how to answer such a stupid
you're Googling.
question.
Yeah, because you're Googling because you're a retard.
What's wrong with Googling stuff during
because
the
you
debate?
don't know you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, if I don't know something, then I'm
don't say
probably
it.
Google it.
Then
why do you do this? Why do you preach what you fucking saying as well? Yeah, if you don't know it, don't fucking say it, bitch.
Don't say
okay,
it.
so do is there not a limit of natural resources on the planet?
No, there's not.
There's not. We have unlimited fucking oil.
As far as I can see, yeah. It's actually
You're
regenerative.
You're a fucking idiot, dude.
How did you determine
oil
otherwise?
Is regenerative.
Yeah.
Because oil is made out of fossils and algae, and we have a limited amount of dinosaur
what kind
bones.
Of fossils?
I can make fun of your voice.
Dinosaur bones? We have. Listen to how insane you are. We have a limited amount of dinosaur bones
that made oil.
We have a limited. Only dinosaur bones make oil. Holy shit!
He said algae as well.
You think making fun of theists
is
funny? Listen to yourself.
And algae, dumb fuck.
So dinosaur and algae make oil.
Why do electric
We're
cars
running out of dinosaurs.
So we're not running out of
dinosaurs. No, dude, your
natural resources aren't limited on Earth. Are you that stupid?
Dude, listen. How would you know?
Look at that. How would you know? Right, we are at the end of the thing. Right, I'm going to leave it here. Right, how would you know? And this prick at the very beginning says, "I don't know." That's the irony, right? That's the irony. This piece of shit, Kunt-JimBob, doesn't know fuck all about it. Absolutely fucking argumentative, like a pre-supper, right? And convincing his fucking 302 minions that he's got in his YouTube channel, in his stream, right? Thinking, oh, yeah, no. Fucking idiot. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, have a nice one. Until next time. Fucking hell.